What's up, guys? John and I are back at it. Got a 72, 73 Impala here. Need some floor pans. Since we're pretty efficient at floor pans, and my YouTube videos actually sold this customer on letting me do it. He was attempting to do it himself. He cut this out and was trying to flux core it in, but you really need some shielding gas for sheet metal, in my opinion. So he said it was just a little bit beyond his means, but we got that pan over there that's going in, and this pan right here that's going in here. The pan falls a little short though. It's just a section pan to about here, so John over there is gonna have to fabricate something up for the slope and the firewall portion.
Yes, sir.
But it shouldn't be a problem. I think we got a little extra sheet metal left over, some floor pan material from the Cougar or the Mustang, one of the two. But this one should be pretty straightforward in comparison to the other two we did. I don't think it's going to be too bad. And the gentleman was also talking about letting us replace the quarters. Got some rust around the wheel, in front and back. Just like I told him, we would probably just run this body line right here. There's really no sense in replacing the whole thing. Worst case scenario, we'd go to this body line maybe. But I think the other quarter panels just about the same condition, just a little rust on the bottom. See the back on that one, a little bit of dents back there, but right here got a little hole ski. But we're gonna go ahead and start doing some cutting. See if we can't make some progress and knock this out for this gentleman. All right, we got the passenger side floorboard done. So this is how it started out. Actually, I think it was like that. This would be the door side, up toward the firewall, transmission tunnel. And like I said, the panels that he had were a little short, so we had to fabricate another piece in to go up the firewall. This piece up here. So we just had some sheet metal laying around, just bend it up. But that's it. Welded in all the way around, nice and solid. This little spot right here is where when I do on these floor pans where you can't get a good ground, as I just weld a bolt to it and then put my ground on there. That way we can get a decent weld. For the most part, it turned out pretty good. Typical floor pan, I guess, just about like the rest of them we've done. So we're gonna go ahead and do this panel back here. Like I said, the owner started messing with it. I think he was trying to like butt weld it or flush weld it, and we needed to overlap, so we might have to put a little like sliver in here. We might actually be able to take this and hammer it up flat. But he also missed a couple holes, like right there's one right here. So we might be better off opening it up anyways and just putting a little plate across the back of there, you know. Right there, you can see it, a couple little holes there. So we may have to do that anyways, just to do it right. All right, so we got the passenger side rear panel in, and we decided rather than adding, you know, slices of sheet metal on either side, that we would just go ahead and replace the whole thing. So I had some sheet metal in the garage. It was in pretty good condition. It's had a little surface rust, clean dried up. But the problem with using regular sheet metal for your floorboard is it doesn't have any stamps in it or any bead rolls or anything like that. So John came up with this idea to put a cut into the center of it and then just weld the cut back together, and that would give the rigidity to it so it doesn't flex up and down. Because if it were just a piece of sheet metal, just a square put in there, it would, you know, would bounce up and down. It would, you know, there's nothing to support it, not like any kind of structure or bracing. So we got this one done. we're about to start on that one, but unfortunately we used up the sheet metal that I had for the firewall area up there and this, so we're just going to cut a bunch of rust out of there, get it all trimmed out, and we'll have to pick up some more sheet metal to finish that up. Alright, we're back at it on day 2. I was able to get by the metal place this week and pick up some sheet metal. I just measured out the floor pans that the customer supplied. They were 20 gauge, so that's what I went with from the metal supply store. And John over here did some bending and notching, and you can see what we cut out. This is actually a part of the frame, and this is the body mount. That's why the floor pan is raised right there to clear that stud. I know it's a little rusted, but it's actually pretty sturdy. It was obviously much thicker than the floor pan itself. But that's where we're at with this. About to start welding this in and forming it as we go to meet those contours. And then the supplied floor pan, we just notched it down to clear, or just basically cut it down so we would only cut the rust out. You know, there's no sense in cutting all this good metal out all the way over to the tunnel. On the passenger side, we didn't have a choice because it was rusted all the way across, but this is what we got going on here. I think it's going to turn out pretty good. But there is some rust in the trunk. The customer seemed to be pretty pleased with what we did on the passenger side, so he asked us to take a look in the trunk and you know, see what we thought. So it's not too bad. A little bit of the wheel wells punched through here, and then just in this area to over here. So basically what we need to do is cut this out, throw a piece in there. Now the passenger side is about the same condition. It just goes a little bit further, as you can see. Try to get a full screenshot, but we just need to cut back to here, across, up, and over. Unfortunately, without buying an actual trunk pan, you know, he's not going to have these ridges and stuff, which are, as far as I know, they're just supposed to trap the water, and it runs it back to the drain plugs here. And then there's one other spot that I noticed, so I just messaged the owner and asked, you know, if he wants us to take care of that too. But right here, there's a pretty good deal of rust. Basically just need to cut that out, weld a new strip in there. But that's it for now. So just waiting to hear back on the trunk as to what we're gonna do with it. In the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and get this floor pan welded in and finished up. All right, so we got the driver's side floor pan complete. Turned out pretty good, as you can see. Pretty much how we do it. I don't know if it's the right way or not, but we get the metal cut and bent as needed, and then we just kind of start tacking it around the corner and using an air hammer with a flush set just to hammer it down to contour to the original form of the floorboard. Because like I said, or showed a little bit earlier, the floor pan itself is raised up right there for the body mount. So, you know, we couldn't just take a piece of metal and make it, you know, like 45-degree up and call it good, because, you know, then the stud would be right there at the floor pan. So that's it for the floor pans on this car. Everything back here was good, everything back there I assume is good, because it's still got the sound dampening mat in the car. But the customer did get back with me on the trunk. That's what John's down there doing now, just making sure before we start cutting if there's anything of vital importance. But he said go ahead and do what you do. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and, you know, start notching this out, get started on the trunk here. Alright, so check this out. This is probably some good information to share. We cut the rust out of the trunk floor pans, and it just so happens by luck directly underneath it is a body mount bushing, and I'm not sure what you'd call it, something like a trunk pan body mount brace, something along those lines. I wasn't able to find a replacement part at all for this, so I just have to show you and explain what we found as best I can. So directly underneath here, you see the body bushing goes here. Well, on the underside of this trunk pan, there's a brace that is spot welded to it in a couple spots, and it bolts to the body mount, which are these right here. This being passenger side, this being driver side. This hole is where the bolt goes for the body bushing, and as you can see, in super poor condition. So you see where it spot welds, like here, here. Well, John and I fabricated a couple reproduction braces ourselves, and it was pretty simple. We just mic'd this out so we got the same gauge steel on the bottom, located the spot where the bolt for the body bushing is going to go, and then took some L channel and just measured the distance that it's going to need to be to go up to the bottom of the trunk pan itself, and just notched it accordingly as we needed. And we're gonna, once we get this bolted in, I'm gonna put the top plate on it. We're gonna locate this here with chalk lines, drill through the top so that we can spot weld the actual new trunk pieces to the top of this, and we'll weld the new trunk pieces in, which John already has them cut out as well. Something like this. But here's the other one here. This one is this side, I believe. So kind of go like that. Give you an idea. This is gonna go on top of this, and there's gonna be holes drilled in the top of it so that we can weld these two together. And then this will outside perimeter weld to the trunk pan. So pretty cool, but also unfortunate in that that's where the body bushings were, and we had to take this additional step, little extra work and labor, but nothing that we couldn't handle. So we're gonna go ahead and get all this done right now. All right, so we got the passenger side done, and if you're wondering what this bolt here is, a little trick of welding trade here. If you don't have anywhere to ground, like in this situation, you just tack weld a bolt to it and ground on the bolt. So when you're done, you just cut it off and smooth it out, and you'll never know it was there. But as you can see, we just dropped the chalk line where we knew the brace was underneath it, and then once we got the panel all welded in, then we just come back and use a straight edge, something like this, on our chalk lines, and drilled a couple holes through the top and not through the brace on the bottom, and you just throw some wire down in it, and that's it. This side's done. It just needs a little bit of sealant around the couple gaps that are remaining there, that there's just not enough contact to weld anything there. And then on this side, we're about to start on this side, just go ahead and show you. So that bolt there underneath that panel, and I'll do the same thing on this side. I'm gonna weld the bolt, or not the bolt, the nut to that brace there, so that if this if the owner of this car ever wants to actually lift the body off the car, you know, because once we've welded this panel on top, there's no access to this nut anymore. So you want to weld the nut to this brace. That way, if, like I said, if he ever wants to lift the body off, he can just suck the bolt right out and lift the body off. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on this side. All right, there it is. We got the trunk pans done. As you can see, where we drilled it and spot welded it, you know, it should be solid. That's a wrap on that. You know, he's got some wheel well holes there, some rust, but we can address that later. He's trying to get it to the paint shop now, so he just wanted us to take care of the major rust at this time. He's gonna have somebody else quote him on the quarter panels. He may bring it back, he may not, but that's where we're at. And that'll conclude this video on the 72 or 3 Impala. I can't remember which it is, but AKA a DONK. This is our first DONK over here.
Oh yeah.
But and that's George over there. He wanting to. You see him over there? He's giggling. He's trying to get YouTube famous.
Oh yeah.
But that's it. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time.